which I thought I would have to, so it's not a problem. And when you get into each of these little corner areas where they come together, you're going to have to make sure you get in tight, but you don't want to overcut. And the flap cuts, these don't have to be perfect lines. This one towards the point should be, but these don't really matter because they're going inside. But this line here definitely needs to be straight. And I usually pull my scissors back and try to make sure that that tip is going right in where I want it to end. The same when I do this one. And this one's a little harder because there's not that line to get you right up to it. Do some of this. Make it easier to get in. Alright, so we're here. Got that cut. I try to line my scissors up and visualize where that's going to be. Didn't quite get it on this one, so I'm going to go back in. It's cardboard, so it's not going to cut as easily as just regular paper. Okay. And cardboard doesn't bend like paper, so trying to get in between some of these areas is not as easy as it would be with just DSP or even cardstock. I don't know why that first one cut really quite easily, but now these don't want to. Could be my scissors have gotten dull already. But I just want to make very tiny cuts. I don't want to overcut. Just a few more. One last one. Okay, now that I'm almost done with this one, I'm going to transfer the paper to the other cardboard. The other thing I want to do is mark what I consider the top so that I know that this paper matches perfectly to the cardboard below. so now, let's see if I can figure out. I don't actually even have to use that same cut so long as I have this positioned right. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and fast forward through cutting this. Actually, I'm just going to stop recording. Okay, I'm back. I have the second one cut. Looks really strange like this. And what I know about cereal box is that the printed side will not hold paint very well at all. And so I'm not going to paint on this side. I'm going to be painting on this side. And so I'm going to gesso this side, and then I will be adding a bottom layer of paint and then a layer of regular cheap school glue like Elmer's. I don't have Elmer's, so I have the off-brand of Crazy Art. It's 47 cents at Walmart. So gesso, a dark color of paint, a very thick, liberal, generous layer of this glue, and while it is still wet, a light shade of paint to go over the top. And what happens is when this cheap glue dries, it pulls the paint together in crackled layers, because the 3D 5-point star ornament that was shown on May's channel in her Happy Mail, it had the crackle paint effect on it. And there are a lot of very expensive products out on the market to create the crackle effect. But I don't understand spending the amount of money and buying something as toxic as those products are, when that can be done easily with something cheap like Crazy Art School Glue. So, one thing I'm going to do is go ahead and do the folds on this. This is T1 for the first one. This is T2 for the second one. And I'm hoping that when I get it all folded together, because I mean, I haven't done this before, so I'm not sure. I might have to paint the wrong side of one of these to see if it'll. But the thing is doing it this way, the flap is going to be on the same exact side, so it should be on the opposite side. So I'm thinking that's why it looks a little wonky. But we will try it and see. Like, all these little extra bits would be the flap that would fold in. But we're going to try it. The first thing I'm going to do is the lines. So I have to do score lines. So I'm going to try to line this up again and use my scoreboard. If you don't have a scoreboard, you could just use a ruler and a embossing tool. Embossing tool being one of these, the metal thing with the little rounded tip on it. There are a lot of tools that have the name embossing, but when I'm talking embossing tool, I'm talking about one of these. Even like the old plastic from Crafter's Companion, this is also an embossing tool. It's the same, there's just different size points. And actually this really isn't going to help too much. I thought I would be able to use it, but I won't. So let's use okay, everybody, I have the second one cut now, and I have put the paper back on the first one. This is T1 and T2, top 1, top 2. We need to put the score lines in here, and you can fold regular paper to get the score lines that you need, but you can't quite do that same thing with cardboard. So I'm going to use my metal ruler and an embossing tool, which could be any of these with the point. I'm going to use the one with the finest point. I'm not sure if it went through. Yeah, it's basically just going to end up tearing the paper. I'm going to have to use a skinnier one. Now I'm just learning how to do this as I go, so that's why I don't have it all figured out just yet. Let's see if this is going to allow me to make those fold lines. And because this embossing point is bigger than that skinnier one, I have to make sure that the ruler is away enough that it's actually centering on that line. And my template's not going to be good for much when this is over with. If I get just the basic, I should be able to get a crease out of it and get a fairly decent fold. Now this part is getting tore up because it's the part that meets on every line. So I'm going to void it. I think I've got all of them. Let's see. I don't know if my scoreboard is going to help at this point or not. Now that I do have some of these lined up. It would be going from the tip here out to here. Yeah, I don't think my thing is going to go in there. It's not going to depress enough to actually hit a groove. So the next thing would be to see, now that I've got the score lines, if just folding, and I think that should work. just trying to get to the tip areas. Fold one. It's really hard to see the fold lines with the lighting in here because there's no mark. It's really hard to see. The tips are the parts that are the hardest to get just right. We have one here we didn't get. Okay, I think we've got them all now. So now you have to fold the part with this point has to go up and this part has to go down. So in here is a valley, and then here is a mountain or point. So up, down, up, down, up, down, up. The easier way to think of it is one half is going to be up while the other half is going to be down. So you're going to do up, and then this half is going to go down. So that you should be able to get okay. Now the fold that I didn't get was for the flaps. So that can be why it's not folding up. And let's see, I don't know what happened to my pattern. There it is, fell down. Okay, so if I match this up, and I would need to do those fold lines. Okay, that should be the last fold. And these need to all go under. And if it didn't burnish as tightly as it should have, I can just go over it with a much more detailed embossing tool and help it to do that. And I think the ruler would be helpful. But again, it's really hard to see that line. You can fold it up now and then just burnish it down in a little bit. So hard to see it. Three more? Two more? Okay. This one doesn't want to really cooperate, so I'll work it. There we go. I hope I've not been doing this all out of screen the whole time. I apologize if I have been. Okay. Let's see if we can get it. It's still not going to do the fold because this part's still going to poke out. But you can see it looks more like a star. So let's see if we can get that there. This is what we're trying to achieve. And of course it'll only go up as much as this area allows. Like if it was cut more inside, then it would raise up much higher because the points would be able to go down lower. So this is the 3D, and what I could do is just glue it to a flat piece of paper, or I could go ahead and try to do the same with the second one. So I'll be back in a little bit. Alright, I have the second one done. This is the T1, and this one is the T2. To make it a 3D, you can see that this T1 has a flap on this side, and my T2 has a flap on the same side, but when you turn them this way, they would be opposite and be able to meet each other. So if I had the ability, I don't know that I'd have the patience to do this, to add some glue or the double stick tape and hold it in place on each of these points to achieve the 3D. And because that is a task I'm not up for right now, what I'm going to do is just do just 3D this way, not a full 3D. And so what I'm going to do is cut out another piece of paper once I get this in the shape that I want it, and then add a piece of paper to the back of it. And trying to think if I want a heavier duty paper or just the regular paper. Sorry for the camera shaking, guys. Okay, I'm back. I have both of these cut out. Instead of making it 3D like this, where I could put double stick tape on each of the tabs or even glue, and because I'm turning them in opposite direction, the tab would be on this side, and on this one the tab is on this side, so that I could make it 3D like this. But I don't have the patience to do that today, so for now I'm just going to do it this way and add a piece of paper to the back of it. So I'm going to go ahead and put some double stick tape on this. I have my Stacy tape, which is also known as the Scrapbooking Made Simple, Simply Defined. Double-sided adhesive. It's 1/8. It's as good as the Sukaniko. It's just you get more and it's cheaper. So I like to get that little bit to stay in there, but that release tape keeps coming off of that bit. Need to get my non-stick scissors out. one actually pulled. This is made of about 3 layers because I can see 3 layers of paper. It's actually probably 4, but let's see. I think I've got them all. But it's taken that 1 layer. I'm trying to pull it off, so I'm going to need to glue it. I'm going to use my Memento because it dries quick. Let's see if I can get it to come out. You know how Memento is amazing, but it can be temperamental as far as coming out because it'll start drying inside. I want to get in between that other layer because it's starting to separate. So I'm just going to hold this together. I'm going to glue my fingers together. You have to rub so hard to get that off. It takes off some of your old dead skin cells off your thumb and finger. Okay, see, you can see where it's starting to separate everywhere on these. Okay, so I have a piece of paper here, and I need to burnish this by rubbing it in. I have to make sure it's not pulling the tape off. I just want the release part of the tape off. One more. It's not going to be easy. I'm going to try to do this quickly. I'll lay one down. Try to get the other and another. And one more. It's kind of pulling up. The paper's not flat, but that's okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to want to leave enough of this. I'm going to cut up into the center, in between the points, not the center, but in between the points. I don't know if I can get this to come off. This was the very last one. Try to curl it a little more. Okay, so what I want to do is leave enough paper that I can pull some up here, not all the way down. guess it should be all the way down. Yep. Because I'm going to be going over this with paint anyway, but I do want to make sure that the points are nice and crisp. So if I It's starting to come off, which is okay for right now because I'm still trying to figure out how to make it, so it's not like it was working great for me. Alrighty. I wonder if I just use the paper one that I made, if that would work. The thing is when it gets folded, it's going to be in a different shape. So right now I'm just going to go ahead and lay this down on the tape side of the cardboard. So now I'm starting to get a little bit of that. I'm pushing the paper part out. I guess it would have helped if I had went ahead and creased the folds on this paper one first. Let's see if I can get this to come off without tearing. The rain is coming down pretty good, but it's not like a hard rain. It's just like a heavy sprinkle. Okay. Note to self. Burnish folds first. I did do the little flaps, but I need to do the points and the valleys. And this still has that little bit of tape on the inside where I taped it. So it keeps trying to stick. And that little bit is torn. So I'm going to use a little bit of washi to hold that together. I'm sure that the woman who made this had a much easier way to make these. I'm sure her way of making it is nowhere near as difficult as it seems to be for me. That's a mountain and a valley. So in we go. Separate mountain, valley, mountain and a valley, mountain and a valley. Okay, I think we got it. Okay. Try it again. Otra vez. First one is to line this one up. And then the second one, and I want to push in the center. So I'm starting to get that 3D shape. Push it out. I also have to make sure I get all these little flaps on the inside, on both sides. This one is the one that gives me a little bit of trouble. Doesn't want to let me take it off, but it needs to go this way more. Fumble fingers here. This is the last one. You would think that this part would be easy, but I'm telling you, it's really not. Okay. So, we have our mountains and our valleys, and everything is working except for this 2 points, for the most part. So it just needs to come out this way more. And I don't see how I'm going to be able to get it to do that. this is going to be the front. The only thing I can see to do would be to cut it to make it kind of line up. I'm trying to see if I can get it to fold a little more on the inside as far as that flap, to maybe get it to line up a little better. Surely there's got to be an easier way. Like this one particular point is just going off like that. One goes that way and this one goes this way. This point's not that bad. The rest of it works together pretty good. Just this one. So I'm going to take it off. And see if I can try to redo it. You need to go out. You need to come in. Okay. Well, I think we got it. I mean, not perfect. So right now, what I'm going to do is put some washi tape on the edges. Kind of help hold it in place. Nah, this washi tape's not going to hold, is it? I don't understand what it is about this one here. I can make this fold in just a little bit more. For the flap to go in. Yeah, that works better. trying to see and think if I have any kind of tape that would actually hold there. Washi tape generally does not hold very well, but some do stick better than others, so I'm going to try another one. This seems to be a bit more tacky. And I'm not worried about the lines on here because it's going to kind of be like papier-mâché if I can get this to work. Let's see, now it doesn't really stick. Let's have this extra flap of skin, or extra flap of paper I want to get off. Once this is painted with gesso and acrylic paint, it should hold its shape fairly well. The tape shouldn't come off anymore. The part I can't wait to get to is the part where you do the painting so you can get the crackle effect. I love doing that. That part is so much fun. And it's always so much fun to watch it as it dries and crackles. Not that I sit and watch it the whole time, but I check on it every now and again. It's very, very interesting every time. It's a different texture and look. I'm trying to get this part here where it has this deficit, this slight opening. I'm trying to get it to where it'll not show up as much. So if it means I need to cut a little something, I'm going to do that. now. And I'll use the tape to help make that shape more true. Similar situation with this one.